Many of you might have seen a viral story last week where an 11-year-old girl was forced to share a bed with a male student on a school field trip. So today I have the opportunity to speak with the wonderful parents of this girl, and let's just get right into it. So welcome, Joe and Serena, to the Libs of TikTok experience. Just give us a quick summary, sort of from your perspective, what happened.
Perfect. First of all, thanks for having us. We really appreciate you letting us share our story with you. Basically, what happened is over the summer, my daughter and I took a district sponsored trip to Philadelphia and DC. And on the first night of the trip, our daughter was unknowingly assigned to share a bed with a boy who identifies as a girl. And mind you, our daughter had been getting along well with this other student all day and had purposely gone out of her way in order to become friends and make this other student feel comfortable. So it took her by surprise when the other student shared that information up with her right before bedtime. And then after that occurred, she called me. She quietly went into the bathroom because she didn't want her other roommates to feel uncomfortable, and called me and said and told me kind of what had happened. And then I was kind of taken aback because I didn't think of this as a possibility of happening. When we had prepared our trip, they had told us specifically that boys were going to be on one floor and girls were going to be on another. And so my first reaction was, is this really happening? I'm not sure. So it's kind of how it all started.
Wow. So the school actually told you that boys and girls would be separated, and then your daughter goes on the trip and she's placed not just in a room but in a bed, right, with a male. So how? I mean, what's your reaction to that? How does that make you feel as a parent? Joe, you're thousands of miles away. Serena, I mean, I guess you're lucky you happened to be there with her, so hopefully you're able to help a bit more with the situation. But you're told by the school that they would be separated, and now your daughter is being forced to share a bed. So how does it make you feel as a parent, and the fact that the school actually lied to you?
Well, the initial reaction, like you said, I was here in Denver, a couple thousand miles away, so I got a call from our daughter as well, and she's telling me this. So I called Serena and I said, is this, I just got a call. Is this really what's going on? She says, well, we're not sure. We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to figure out what's going on. But initially she said, we don't think that's the case. And so, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, we get back on the phone. She finds out, yes, it is the case. Some of the chaperones had called and confirmed with the parents that the child was operating in stealth mode. So at that point, my
Just
first reaction,
explain what stealth mode means.
I don't know. I can only assume based on the comment. um, I don't know exactly what it means, but to me it's pretty self-apparent by the term.
Something along
Um,
the lines of that no one else should know that this kid is identifying as trans.
that's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
So my first reaction was get on a plane and come home. So we talked a little bit more, calmed down a little bit, realized, my daughter was not in the wrong here. She worked a year and a half. She put up lemonade stands to raise money for the trip. We weren't going to take it away from her. So Serena worked with the chaperones to get some other arrangements made. Take it from there.
Yeah, so like he said, I spoke with, when she told me the story, we reached out to her chaperone. She came and I let her tell the story again. And then that chaperone reached out to the director of the trip, and that person called the parents and confirmed that that was actually the case. So our daughter then said, well, obviously this is making me uncomfortable. And originally the idea was, I mean, it's late. We've been up since 1:30 in the morning. We're all just trying to get this situation resolved. And so the first idea was to have my daughter move into a different bed in that room, and say basically it was because she needed to be closer to the air conditioner. And then again, there was some conversation between her and her roommates. Maybe that other student could also switch beds if that's how they want it to be. And so then again, we went back to the chaperone and said, okay, this is not going to work. And then at that point, we were able to secure another room. And so the student and another child was able to move down to that other room.
And this is after the school explicitly said that the males and females would be separated. So what is the school's policy in general? Do they have policies on gender identity versus sex, on school field trips, on overnight trips?
There's a district level policy
Yeah.
that says that in most cases, students will be roomed based on their gender identity.
This is not a school policy. This is specifically a district policy. I went to a town hall with a school board member last week, and they had up on the screen what the school district's jobs duties basically were. And it says the district's job duty, the board members, is to create the policy. So this is a board member policies that they did put into place. This is not a school. This is not a teacher policy. This is a district policy.
Wow, it's just so unreal that they have this policy in place, and then they kind of like went against their own policy by saying they would be separated, but then lied about that and actually put them together in the end. So this happens. Thank God you were able to work it out with your daughter. So tell me about what happened after that. The school's response. Did they retaliate against your daughter? Did you receive backlash?
I don't feel like that's the case at all. We love our principal at our school. He's amazing. Our teachers are amazing. And they've known our daughter since she was 5. But their hands are tied with this policy that the district puts into place. And that's the problem that we have here, is this policy that the district has created and is putting down through the ranks of all the schools.
In terms of, any action you're taking now, we have Kristen here from Alliance Defending Freedom. I understand she's representing you. Let's just turn to Kristen for a second. So is there legal action? Let's just hear your take on this.
Sure. Well, in terms of my take, I think it's very simple. It's morally wrong for schools to lie to parents, and it's also unconstitutional. It violated the right of privacy. It violated parental rights. It also violated the First Amendment in terms of the free exercise clause. Parents should be able to shape and direct the upbringing of their kids, and it's wrong for schools to hide information from parents. I think another piece of this story that I don't know that was highlighted in the telling of it, but is also deeply disturbing, is the school's instruction to Joe and Serena's daughter to lie about what was happening, to lie to the other students in the room. That also teaches students a horrific lesson about what truth is and whether it's okay to lie in those circumstances.
I cannot agree with you more. I mean, the way that they're circumventing parents, and that added detail where they're teaching kids to lie. Now, I don't know if you're allowed to discuss this at all, but is there currently legal action? Is there room for legal action? What's your plan moving forward with that?
We've written a letter to the school district. We never want to pursue legal action, and neither do Joe and Serena if that's not necessary. The goal is to protect students, to respect the privacy and the dignity of all students in that public school district. And so we first sent a letter to the school district asking them to change the policy, or at least clarify it very clearly that this wouldn't happen again, and to ensure that parents have the right to opt out of policies that don't respect the privacy of the student.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you more. And unfortunately, we're seeing this same exact policy implemented in school districts across the country. And this is just one example of how it could actually affect a child and a family. Just turning back to Joe and Serena. So what would your message be to parents who are maybe seeing this and their district has a policy like that, or their child has an upcoming field trip, or something fishy might be going on at their kid's school?
I mean, going through this experience, I think really my message is eventually you've got to say enough's enough and stand up and do something, which is not easy to do. And I don't know that we were ready for the attention we've had over the last 2 weeks. But we do feel like it's the right thing. We don't feel like our daughter was put in a good position. And the policy, I think the feedback we've gotten, for the most part, people would agree the policy is not the right thing to do. So I think that'd be our message. If you're seeing it, get up, get involved. The other piece of it, as I've said on some other interviews we've had, frankly, I thought this issue was being overblown, being sensationalized in the press. And she and I had conversations about it. And I told her, I was like, this isn't really happening. They're making a big deal out of stuff. And then I get a call from Philly, I guess, from my 11-year-old telling me it's happening. So.
And then
And
how
Kai, can I just add, as a parent myself, I think another lesson is the role that we as parents play in helping our children find their voice. I mean, I couldn't help but, as a mother of a daughter, thinking of when she was 11 years old and going into a bathroom to essentially whisper into a phone that there's a problem. And I just think we should commend Joe and Serena on seeing a defining moment in their daughter's life and knowing that she was trained to have a voice and to use that voice. And we need to do that in our own children's lives as well. They see something that doesn't feel right, they need to feel the freedom to stand up and say something. And thankfully, Joe and Serena's daughter did here.
Like Joe and Serena mentioned, it's hard to stand up sometimes, but if you see something, say something. And I think you guys are very brave and you're very courageous. I cannot imagine what you must have been going through, first of all, when the story happened, but especially the last couple of weeks, ever since it got national attention. So I commend you. And I think that another part of this is the relationship that you have with your child. So having that open relationship. I actually wrote a book on this, so I would love to send you guys a copy. I'll get your address after. I'll send you a free signed copy of my kid's book about this for your daughter. But any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I just want to say we couldn't be more proud of her either. The trip was about self-advocating, and she definitely stood up she definitely did that. So we couldn't be more proud of her and who she is as a person. She's kind and caring and compassionate, and she's amazing.
Well, she definitely learned all that from her parents.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining me. And that's all for now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.